A woman has a vision of a man she's about to date. Another person has a dream of the hand of God reaching into her heart and healing her from the abuse that she suffered as a child. Another person has a recurring dream of a tribe from China that she's never met before. The next day she opens up a coffee table book and sees their photo and ends up becoming a missionary to them years later. These are some of the data that I've collected as part of my research on how Christians hear God's voice. My name is Tania and I'm studying at Harvest Bible College. You know, Christians believe that God speaks to us in powerful ways, that he speaks to us both to remind us of the things that we've been taught in the Gospels, and also to speak to us about things to come, things in our future, questions that we have about our hopes and our dreams and our jobs, our careers and our families. But how do we hear God's voice? And how do we know if it's God? What do we do with it after it happens? These are some of the questions that I've been studying because this area can be quite confusing and complex. For example, what happens when someone thinks they hear from God and they resign their job and they end up bankrupt and they realize that actually what they were feeling was the symptoms of burnout and not really God's voice after all? What happens when what I'm hearing seems to contradict the pages of Scripture? A woman tells a story about how God spoke to her to release her from her marriage. She was a victim of domestic abuse. So some of the questions that I have are theological. Others relate to, well, how does the church do this well? Part of my goal in researching this area is to help pastors and leaders build churches that enable every person to hear God's voice, not just the leaders and the pastors, but every person to hear God's voice in a way that's theologically orthodox, that fits in with who Jesus is and the gospel that we've given, but in a way also that creates powerful ministry outcomes, that reveals who God is and allows us to see his tangible hand working in our lives. Jesus said that his people would recognize his voice and that they'd be able to follow it. My prayer is that this research will help you to do the same.